Hey, welcome back to our foundational talks on our culture. We're going to go over the Focus Foundation. I'm just going to recap really quickly. We are a front row focused church. We are active in evangelism. We are bold in generosity. We are excellent in execution. We are clear in communication. And we are serious about stories. The next one is that we are focused on the future. Nothing is more depressing than talking about the good old days. Nothing depresses me more than hearing, Pastor, let me tell you about the good old days. Well, guess what? The good old days are no longer here, and we need to be focused on the future. Not that we neglect our heritage, not that we neglect our past, but the more we talk about our past, the more dangerous it is to fall in love with it. And if we're not focused on the future, we will never reach who God has called us to reach. What do they talk about in hospice and in nursing homes? They all talk about the good old days. Why? Because their end is near. I don't want to be a church that looks back more than we look forward. That's why it is foundational and it is critical to be focused on the future. Jesus did this. The disciples did this. John the Baptist was one of the best at this. He says, prepare the way. Prepare the way. Why? Because I'm just thunder in the desert. The storm is coming. The rain is coming. Jesus is coming. One who I am unworthy to even untie his sandals. John the Baptist was great at preparing people for the future. And I want our church to be the church that is always looking to reach more people, to do more for the gospel, to make sure that we're constantly trying to reach above and beyond where we were in our past. Why? Because God has called us to never stop reaching people for him until he returns. So if I'm not dead, God is not done, and I'm looking for what I can do for him next. That's why it's so important that we are focused on the future. We're going to talk about vision so much at this church that you're going to get tired of hearing about the future. But here's what happens. When you begin to talk about the future, God begins to work in the spirit about making your dreams that he's given you happen. I spoke about the future of this church. I said that it's going to be this way. It's going to be that way. Why? Because God told me this is how it's going to be. And sure enough, eventually what you begin to see is the dreams and the vision that God gives you begin to become a reality